and he's going to talk to you guys about DLC. I do apologize for that, and I'm so sorry, Kayla. So let's pull up his presentation. Oh, is this your presentation? No, it's Kayla's presentation.
Yeah, can you see everything?
All right, so we are going to pull up. Scott, why don't you introduce yourself while I'm pulling up the presentation?
Okay, everybody, my name is Scott Velasquez. I'm actually a programmer. I don't know, do we have any people that want to be programmers when they grow up? Just one? Nobody else wants to write code when they, okay. All right, so I work at Gearbox Software. I've been there for quite a while, going on like 17 years. Gearbox is a really cool place to work. I'm also a soccer coach. Anybody play soccer? Any soccer players? Right on. So I've been coaching soccer for about 10 years. I got 3 kids. It's kind of funny looking out here. I can imagine my kids being in the crowd too. And,
what is the name of your presentation? DLC? What is DLC?
One goes down. Okay, here we go. You still don't have a mic, I guess? Is it? No mic? Okay. All right, so my talk is going to be about DLC in video games, what, why, and how. Okay, so kind of already talked about this a little bit, but here's a quick backstory about myself. I got in the video game industry around 2000. So here's a bunch of games that I've worked on. It's kind of hard to see, but as I said, I've been at Gearbox for quite a while, so actually these games that are up here are actually a lot of the games that we've done at Gearbox. You probably recognize Halo and Borderlands, Counter-Strike, Brothers in Arms. And I thought this would be kind of funny is I was imagining myself in your shoes. We never had this when I was a kid, so I think this is the coolest thing that you guys get to come and do this kind of stuff. But if I were you right now, what I was surrounded with was dial-up internet, so super slow internet. It was terrible. Some of our editors, we didn't even have mice for things back then, so we're using the keyboard for everything. Of course, I always had my little portable disc player, riding my bike, listening to that. And I was probably going to my friend's house to play the Sega Genesis, which, again, you guys probably don't know what that is. But this was my life right here, which is, it's no Google, it's no YouTube, there's no Twitter, Twitch, Steam, that kind of stuff. So if you can imagine that, no Netflix. It's pretty crazy. All right, so what is DLC? So DLC stands for downloadable content. It's basically anything that's added to the game after the game is shipped. It can be content, it can be new functionality. Aaron was talking about Fortnite. It could be emotes, skins, it could be bug fixes. It could be them changing a map because they're trying to keep the game fresh. And it can be free or it can be paid. It just totally depends on what the point of the DLC is. So a couple examples, we have Rocket League on the left. They're always really good with releasing DLC. Usually it's based around the customizations for the car, or the soccer fields you're playing on, the balls, the celebrations. And then we have Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. They have a lot of good DLC as well. I want to give you one more example. Anybody recognize that?
No.
Yes. What game is that from?
Fortnite.
Fortnite. All right, let's double check you on that. Assuming I have audio. Fortnite. Does anybody want to do that? Anybody do that?
I can't. I'll do it on my phone. I can't.
Okay.
I killed myself.
So does that kind of make sense? Do you guys kind of know now what we're talking about when we say DLC? Like just things that are added. A lot of times they're free. You can earn them sometimes. Like you can earn the battle pass. Once you get in there the first time. So that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. Let me jump back real quick though. Before DLC, back when we had games like this, of course we had no internet. We had no ways to update the games. And what's crazy, and you'll see this as you start to design your stuff. Imagine if you had to make a game and you had to get everything right the first time. There's no mistakes. It's like a pencil with no eraser, right? Like that'd be pretty tough. But all these companies, they did that, and most of the time it worked out really well. These guys wrote really good code. They knew how to test things. They're reading the manuals for the devices that they're writing this stuff on. As a game developer, that is crazy scary today because the games are so complex. You have all these PCs and consoles and who knows how many kind of like different phones and stuff like that. So luckily, we don't live in that world anymore, but that was the world we lived in. And then real quickly, so down in the bottom right is my favorite. That's not me. Is my favorite football game of all time. That's Tecmo Bowl on the very first Nintendo. So me and my friends in middle school at the time, we loved this game, and we would set up leagues for all the kids to come play in the neighborhood. And being a stats freak and being really competitive ourselves, we would write down every play. Like, Scott ran for this many yards, Scott threw for this many yards. Huge notebooks, and then we would compile all the averages, compile all the totals, and then at the end of the season, of course, like we would go to the Super Bowl or whatever, but then you could also say, hey, I had the most rushing yards, I had the most passing yards. So it's pretty neat. After going through that, though, and going through all these pencils and pens, that's the first time I thought about wanting to code. I'm like, why am I having to write this down? How come the person that made this game couldn't have do this for me? And as you see today, that kind of thing happens normally, but it would have been nice for us if they could have just added that to the game back then, but again, no DLC. Okay, so let's talk about why DLC. You guys ever in a class, say math or science, something like that, wonder why the teachers are teaching you something?